And to listeners, this is why you turn into D&D podcasts to listen to two middle-aged white guys talk about the price of fuel.
And welcome back with Chat 20 by DMIY. I'm not with my normal co-host. I'm actually with someone actually pretty special. It's Kendall Drury. Thank you for joining us today.
No worries. Happy to be here.
Tom always misses out on these kind of podcasts because he's always busy. That's my co-host that's normally on, and we normally just talk on random divergence and tangents and whatnot. So this is going to be a different form of tangent that we go.
That sounds exactly like me, so it's probably going to be exactly the same.
None of this is ever scripted, by the way, so it goes pretty wild. I have like a few talking points, like a few random questions to throw in the mix, but other than that, who knows where this adventure is going to take us?
That's dangerous. That's dangerous for me. All right.
So I actually I saw a lot of your work previously when it comes to One for All and stuff like that, which is where primarily I've seen you do a lot of skits, and they're hilarious. I think it nails D&D right on the head. Um, and stuff like that. And then I bumped into you randomly at Eden Brewery in Mittagong way back when.
That was a day. Yeah.
That was yeah. So
Yeah.
what was it? What was it like to be on One for All? How did that sort of begin?
Oh, that's very. Let's see. That came apart from networking, pretty much. So just like when I was in acting school, I did a short film for a guy, and someone called Goldie was the cinematographer for it, and then did the network thing. Uh, she reached out to me a couple days later saying, "Hey, I also have a YouTube channel," and they were filming a Game of Thrones parody, um, about like Game of Thrones if its budget was cut. So they got me in for like a 5-second bit where I was Oberyn Martell about to get my head crushed by the mountain, but then it cuts away and it's just a watermelon getting crushed. Uh, so yeah, and then just stayed in contact with them, did the whole like keep in touch here and there, and then one day I posted a picture of me DMing for a game, and then her and the other half of Deerstalker, Elliot, reached out and said, "Hey, we're actually got this new concept. You're a GM. Do you want to audition for it?" And I was like, "Yeah, uh, I'm not working."
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, like followed their channel a bit, but wasn't too into it. Knew it was a bit out of what they usually do. But they'd both gotten into D&D recently and were just thinking of things, new things for the channel, things that excite them. And given they'd both gotten into that, they just thought what to do. So Elliot, the writer director, just threw a script together for the first episode, which was that Meet in the Tavern one. Went, filmed that. I was expecting, just given what I usually do with acting, it would get maybe 25 views, and then that's it. But it just kind of took off overnight. We're just like watching the view count go up and seeing like the comments flood in. We're just like, oh, okay, this is strange. This isn't what I'm used to. Yeah, and I
Is this
guess at that
actually
point
working?
they're like, should we keep doing this? And it's like, I think we have to. And yeah, just kind of went from there.
That's fantastic. Like a lot of the costume design and that kind of stuff too was incredible. Like you've taken a bunch of different roles within that, from like the DM perspective and also from NPC perspectives as well. Um, yeah, stuff that went into that was actually quite impressive. So
Yeah, I get put in awkward positions a lot because people like have seen like the show or photos of me online and stuff and assume I'm a cosplayer, because that's usually when you see someone like a bit more like less famous but like well dressed up and stuff in those sort of costumes, you assume they've made it themselves. But no, I did none of that. We had I was just a trained actor. Got on like I think they had to hire more people, so like it would work for me. Like needed a costume person eventually, which was Jen, Silent Cosplay Online, like amazing cosplayer. She was doing like makeup as well, and most of the costumes were kind of thrown together early on. But then Eva, who plays Avandra on the show, she's got like a degree in costume making and worked for Upper Australia and all that. Moved into being head of costume for a bit, so she was just putting me in things, and it's just like over at her house on the weekend getting measurements and uh stuff like that. So yeah, it is fun to wear and like fun to do those characters for sure. But like when I think of the other actors on the show, especially those first ones, like cosplayers who moved into the show, like they've made their own things. I felt like a bit of imposter syndrome, um, which I get all the time, no matter what, because that's life.
I honestly
But
think that comes with the role of GM, right? Like the imposter syndrome, you just have to have it to be a GM.
yeah, you do, and you have to pretend you don't. Well, that's the early part of DMing, I think. You have this concept that you're this person of power, and like, well, power is probably not the wrong word. It's like people are coming to you for the game, and you want to, and you're just making stuff up a lot of the time. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh no, as soon as they realize like this is all made up and not going to, it's all going to fall apart. And yeah, I remember the first time someone caught me out on one of the things I was just making out, and he was like, "Wait, are you just improvising?" It's like, and I was like, "Oh, it's all falling apart now." It's like, "Yeah," and then they were like, "That's so cool. How long have you been improvising for?" I'm like probably 70% of this. I'm just improvising as I go." And then they thought that was more impressive than if I'd planned it all. So I was like, "Oh, okay."
My biggest enemy is my own note taking. Sometimes running games, I'll write down an idea on a piece of paper. I had like a bone collector demon or something, which is infamous with my party because the one time I let the fail slip. Like I read that line later on, and I'm like, why did I do that again? Like, what's this bone collector? I don't recall anything about that. It's like I don't know my own notes. It comes
Yeah.
unstuck later on, so they're all like, "Ah, it's going to be there somewhere." They're like, sure. When you least expect it, when you forget about the whole fiasco, it'll turn up.
Speaking of which, I've just remembered to hit record on the backup audio.
That should be fun later on if mine decides it's not going to work for some reason.
Yeah, we'll start around bone collecting and see what happens.
That'll be great. It'll be like a little blooper if it doesn't work. We'll just start randomly with the bone collector demon, and then see if people can piece together what's actually happening in this whole podcast.
It's a mystery podcast. Figure out what we're talking about.
I don't even know, and I still don't think we know either. We're talking about something, I'm sure.
Sports. It's a sports podcast.
Exactly. So how's
Yeah.
that match the other night, right? The one that I
Ah,
definitely saw.
okay. Look, I got to give credit to the athletes, but sometimes it just doesn't seem like their heart's in it, and I don't want to be too harsh, but I just felt like they weren't playing for the fans, you know?
Yeah, I don't think they were giving it their all. I think they just threw that one a little.
Yeah. But it's got long season, still plenty of time. But yeah, they got to get it figured out. Yeah, strats are all there, systems are there. They've just got to want it.
Oh, but that's D&D in a nutshell. It's like sometimes you're just improvising and what's even happening. Like it just works. Half of it, I just write dot points for my plans nowadays. I don't write
Oh,
like big long things. It's just dot points, and then like I'll just add in the rest. It's my usual.
100%. Yeah, that was a note I got. Uh, what was it, like 5 years ago, something like that, where I was like trying to find that balance between what am I writing, like what am I preparing, what am I going with? Because we say like most of it's improvising, but the moment you turn up unprepared, that's when the improv doesn't work, so to speak. So you're always trying to find that balance. If you're like, I prepared all this and then threw it away because I was improvising the whole time. So then you turn up not prepared, thinking you're just going to improvise the whole time. And that's when people want to follow what you've planned.
I've done it where I've spent
But
like 3 hours planning a whole session. I've got like 10 pages filled with a paragraph and like this happens here, this happens here, like a fleshed out NPCs, a fleshed out a city and a town and all this kind of stuff. And then my player's like, yeah, we're gonna go over here now and not do any of that. And I'm like, oh, great. Just let me quickly just tear up that.
yeah.
Never mind that. I didn't spend 3 hours doing it.
Yeah. But it's all in there. It's all like locked in your head, if that makes sense. Like prep's still
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
even if it's prep you don't use. The fact that you've turned up prepared gives you that bit of confidence, gives you that starting point at least. But yeah, to bring it back to the what I think was the first comment that spurred this tangent, like yeah, that's when I heard about just using dot points um instead of like all these things, all these extra big paragraphs you've written down and stuff. Let's like have the stat blocks ready for encounters that may happen, have key NPCs figured out, and then just like the dot points of what has to happen. And then you just sort of let the players do what they're doing and guide. And then they're going, we're going over here. And you're like, interesting. Well, this dot point can happen there.
Absolutely. Like dot points allow flexibility because you can change them as needed, but give you like a bit of a standpoint. So like yeah, I've found them to be better than to do just paragraphs and paragraphs. Even with any dialogue that you want the NPCs to have, dot point what they know, um, and their kind of personality, and then just
Yep.
improvise it from there. I find like it's makes it easier to pivot when one of your players asks the NPC a random question you weren't prepared for.
Which is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first big one is, what's your name?
Uh, Dice.
Dice, third of his
Right.
name. Bob. Uh,
You're like sitting there and like got their stat block, got all this history, where they're from, what they're in for, what factions they're working for. Hi, what's your name? Uh,
damn, I should have
oh
thought of
no.
that one. Or they
Yeah,
just want to know their parents' name. Like they want to know. They're like, that's not a question I was expecting to answer. Like I had the whole thing plotted out, their name, their personality, their whole like spiel, and they go, "Oh, do you have any family?"
so you're
Yes.
like, that's when you say the, I don't know you well enough to go into my personal life. Thank you very much.
At least buy me a drink first.
Yeah.
Um, it's that's what's your favorite character slash villain slash NPC that you've made? What's something that always like resonates with you? I know it seems like a random question, but it feels like sort of relates a little bit to um, stat blocks and
Yeah, no, yeah, no, ooh, I think this is probably with the first indie game I ran. We had a villain called One-Eyed Frederick that started based off a new player just improvising. Um, and I was just sitting there being like, "Oh, this guy exists, I think," uh, and stuff. So he had like turned up, not really knowing what D&D was, but it was like introduce yourself, and then he just went on this spiel about how he had a long-term battle with someone called One-Eyed Frederick. And that's 'cause, and then we stopped and we're like, and the other characters were like, by the way, what's your name? That sort of thing. Uh,
That's great.
um, and then yeah, I just sort of ran with it because that was a one of those work D&D things. So it was a big cast of players, constantly rotating. It was very much like an introduction to D&D. A lot of people's first campaigns, including mine as GM. So we just had people coming in for their first game here and there. So like after that session, we were like, anytime you introduce your character, give a spiel on why you're trying to find one-eyed Frederick and bring him to justice. So it just like went from this one player's thing, and then I just like made every new player improvise something about this guy called One-Eyed Frederick,
Yeah.
and just built him up probably like over the course of a year. Someone I hadn't planned, just someone thrown in from a player, and yeah, he turned up riding on an armored T-Rex, uh, sounding like Michael Rooker, and that was a massive fight. But yeah, that probably stays the top. Like, it was a very silly campaign. Don't get me wrong. It's not like my favorite villain is like this one who's done all this stuff. Like, I've had lots of different villains for different reasons, but that one just it stays with me because of the uniqueness of it. It's just like a villain technically the players have created for no reason, and then I just had to. Well, didn't have to. I ran with it, and I was just getting everything they're saying. These people with no concept of who this villain is, and trying to put it together to make it work.
No, that's awesome. Mine actually started from a bit of a side quest. Actually, it was only really meant to be a side quest, but they found this medallion, and it actually was led to a powerful djinn. It was a bit of a dick, and it kind of got fleshed out from there, and people really hooked onto that. The players really hooked onto him as a villain, and just equally decided that they needed to deal with him. So he very quickly became a BBG, fleshed it out a lot more, and I soon got like art done for him, and it just became very powerful BBG. It was one of my first proper ones as well
Nice. Yeah.
as a DM. So it was a learning curve, but it was fantastic. He was able to drop in. He had like backstory, one of the characters linked up to him, and yeah, no, it was Slodre O'Daunt,
Ooh.
which is a bit of a kind of a teamy version of Gaunter O'Dim from The Witcher, if you ever played that
Oh
game.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but he was inspired from that. I'm not going to take full credit for his ingenuity, but
uh, we take everything. That's what
exactly,
GMs do. It's
inspiration
inspiration.
from everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Edit that part out, but for those who don't
Yes.
know, I'm kind of working using this on my phone, which I haven't tested properly as a podcast method, so we're going to find out if it actually works. So far, it seems to be going well.
I think you get to call yourself an artificer if it works out, right?
I think so. Think so. At least like
Artif-
a level two artificer. I reckon I get a level up with that one.
Artificer, artificer, artificer.
It's pronounced so many
Is there
different ways. I
any?
never know.
Yeah. Is there a conclusive? Yeah. Has the community decided how it should be said yet, or are we just going to keep fighting?
I think it's going to be a war. That's going to be a constant battle between being nerds alike. Artificer is how I pronounce it, but then I've heard it artificer. Yeah, just I don't know. I'm undecided
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I get the soft eye just because sounds more British. That's
Indubitably, it sounds more.
yeah. Art- artificer, artificer. No, it doesn't work. No, artificer. Yeah.
I do apologize to all the Brits out there that have just heard our terrible impersonations of Artificer or Artificer. You're probably out there screaming at us. No, that's not how it's pronounced, okay?
I'm not apologizing at all. Deal with it.
So that's probably my favorite. What's your favorite moment uh, for players at your table? Like, what would be your favorite moment in regards to like either role play or character growth, or this is a podcast of random questions today, guys.
Yeah. Hmm. Favorite, like role play moment. Feels rude to call one my favorite. I might have to come back to that one. It's throwing me.
That's very fair. I'll give you mine for a
Yeah, yeah,
little
yeah, you
context,
go.
but
That might inspire me.
um, that might spur something. I don't know. My favorite would be there was this city in this evil campaign that was running, and one of my characters, character name's called Kozak, and he was a bugbear. Um, they went to this city which was attacked by these alien creatures. They got overrun, and he told everyone to get into the river and like, which had a current just taking them downstream. So they all jumped in, and he stayed behind to hold off these swarm of monstrosities. And
Yeah.
he inevitably died quite heroically. And afterwards, at the table, I didn't need to say a word. The role play between everyone, I just let it sit with them as they got to the riverbank, and the role play took over. They had this moment which probably went for the best part of 30 to 40 minutes, but it was just pure role play bliss. And I didn't need to say a word. All I needed to do was just sit there and let them in-game process, and they did incredible. And it's a moment that to this day still resonates, and me and the players that played Kozak still resonates
Damn.
between us. It's a very
Yeah,
like poignant moment.
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah. I definitely can't match that. Not that it's a competition, but yeah. I think most of my jamming games just evolved into silliness a bit too much. I did have a more serious campaign built. It's still written. Uh, it's just never happened. But it was kind of like the thing of like, okay, most of my games are they're kind of like beer and pretzel sort of games where it's like light and it's more a distraction for a lot of people, more having fun, open up for just cutting back after a hard week and just being silly, which was kind of like how I started and what I fell into. But yeah, there are times where I thought of like, yeah, what would it be like? There are times I like tried to put a more serious tone in, and the player's just kind of like, this isn't what we signed up for, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. So like then went and built like, uh, yeah, just spent like a week making maps and like actual NPCs and villains and stuff like that, and I was like, this is going to be that sort of campaign. This is going to be me branching out and being open to these more serious moments, like still with fun in there, but like doing a more narrative one, like something that people are there to really get engaged with the story and know what happens next, rather than just chill out at the end of the week. Uh, it's still yet to see the light of day, but that's life.
It is, life does get in the way, but like I mean, I've discussed this before with Tom. It's like everyone's got different DMing styles. Um, like I like to think my
Yeah.
players may
Oh
or may
yeah.
not agree
Yeah.
with this.
100%.
I like to think I'm
Yeah.
like emotional. I'm very good with that kind of role play. Whereas Tom, he's very good with like investigation and sort of political styles. That makes a lot of interesting dynamics politically, which is something that I don't replicate as much in my games. And then
Hmm.
there is the more like easygoing and uh, fun games as well, which are just designed to be that little bit chaotic, a little bit silly, but allow the players to show creativity in a different light, which I think's nothing wrong with that at all. And in fact, I commend it. I could probably do with a few more goofy things from time to time myself.
Yeah.
I've
They're not
attended.
like yeah, I feel like these things aren't decisions you make as a GM before getting into GM. Like, I'm going to be this. You just sort of start doing it, and like, it's usually your first group or first long time group just veers a certain way, and you seem to think, like, oh, this is what they want. And then you kind of mold into it and then, like, find that place between what you like doing and what they like doing, and just go, like, yeah, I have had like questions from people before. It's like, I don't know what type of GM I'm gonna be. And I'm like, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like like if you haven't done it before, you shouldn't like know what kind of GM you're gonna be. Definitely have aspirations, like goals, stuff like that, but like it is discovery. If you want, you just gotta pick something that excites you, something that sounds fun to you, start doing it, and then your style, if you want to call it that, just kind of goes. But it also comes down to, players available who wants to play, who wants to do things, and then just tailoring around what do you like. Because don't get me wrong, as a GM, you should have fun. Like, but like you're there to like provide for what the players want, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I had a mantra at one point. Um, I think when like trying to find like the player DM dynamic, and it was like my table, your story, our game. Um,
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
yeah,
I'm writing it down now so I don't forget it.
yeah, and I felt that like helped me with like trying to plan things because it's like the my table thing. It's like, yes, as much as putting your foot down and saying, guys, this is how it is, or like we're doing this. Like it does have to happen now and then. You do have to have that bit of control. You do have to say this role play choice that you're doing, we have to stop the game because you're crossing a line or veil or something like that, or you're taking it into too dark a place that people don't want to go. And then you have to have that discussion. You do need to have that bit of authority as a thing.
Yeah,
But
correct.
all the story beats, like it is not for you to just inject your favorite NPCs all the time and have them do all the cool things. It's like the players should be doing that. And that's something I had to remember. Just we're talking about like ADHD and tangents and stuff. Sometimes you get this NPC and you're like, they're so fun. And you get this drive to like just have them doing things, but you're like, no, I'm not one of the players. They are. It shouldn't be one of my NPCs doing the cool things. It should be the players. And then at the end, it's just our game. It's like we're all here to have fun.
That's absolutely correct. It's because D&D and other tabletop role-playing games at their hearts are collaborative storytelling
Yeah,
games. And it's not something that a DM controls, it's something that they facilitate. Now that's a word I like to use for a DM is they
yeah,
facilitate the story happening, but it's the players that create the story. All DMs do is they just make the world, they throw the players in it, and then they allow the players to craft the story through where they want to go, where they want to take it, how they interact with the NPCs, the villains, the world around them, and it should be something that is genuinely reciprocated and pursued by the DM to facilitate that. So it is a collaborative experience. Um, if you want a story to go exactly the way that you want it, that's when you become like an author. You're better off writing a book. um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. My table, your story, our game. That's just the perfect little mantra to all of it. That's exactly what it should be. The players should have those cool moments, which is why, like, I also firmly believe in the rule of cool as well. If a
Oh,
player jumps out of the comfort zone and says, "Oh, I want to try and do this," even if it's not rules as written, um, let them see if they can do that. Like, it makes a more interesting story. It makes their characters feel like they're a part of it, and it encourages creativity.
yeah, of course. As long as it's within the realm of like acceptability. Well, not acceptability, but like, oh, I've built up this dragon encounter. Someone's like, I want to try to persuade it to be my pet because I want a pet dragon. You're like, no, no, that's they're like, what about rule of cool? I'm like, sorry, my table, that is not cool.
Yeah,
Dragon,
exactly.
dragons are not pets. That's not going to happen. Not this campaign. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like the same thing with like ability checks, and that 20 is not going to just achieve absolutely everything. It's like if you go to a king and ask, "Oh, I want your crown and I want to become king." Even rolling a nat 20 will not persuade them to go, "Oh, you know what? That's fair. I'm just going to give you my crown now." It might prevent you from being locked up. They might think, "Oh, you're a funny guy. Like perhaps you should be a jester or something." Um, but within that, you can like make like little sort of interesting moments. But they're probably not just going to hand over the keys of the kingdom because you asked nicely.
Yeah, I think Justin said something pretty similar to that once. Like,
He actually could very well have.
yeah, at least I think it was him. Sorry, Justin, if you're listening. Or Jason, whatever your name is.
Just Justin, Jason, I'll let him know. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So I'm shocking with names too. It's all good.
Oh,
One of
oh
my
no,
worst.
I know his name. It's an in joke that I can't remember who he is. So
Okay, fair enough.
that's just my shout out to him, whoever he is.
Shout out to Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, that's the Royal Cool doesn't give you access to everything, but and I still make players roll for certain things too. It's like, well, oh, I want to jump up on the back of this creature and try and like stab them in the head. Like, okay, well, you got to roll. Let's see if that happens first. So roll a d20 to see if your athletics check is going to get you on top of the creature. And then like a fail from that might end up into something a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah.
Um, I find that even like the nat ones make for an interesting story.
Yeah, I
I'd
think I
never
had
be
one
afraid.
where I had like a manticore flying around. Someone's like, I'm gonna jump on its back and stab it. The dice didn't go particularly well. Uh so I'm like, you miss and catch its tail. So I'm like, they're like, okay, cool, I'm still holding on. I'm like, you know what's on a manticore's tail? Spikes. You're impaled. It's like, ah!
Oh, that's great. Hey, you might have tried to jump on that manacle, but it's now carrying you. You're still flying around with it though, so that's good.
Yeah, you're off to a start. You just gotta like pull yourself off first. No, wrong choice of words.
Um, what got you into D&D, or what got you into tabletop role-playing games as a whole?
Acting school. Um, it was second year of acting school, and myself and a lot of people from my year were just going through the blues. That thing of like, you know, movies, TV, like narrative, like even like book reading, like all these narrative things that used to be escapism aren't anymore because you've just like gone into like a constant analytical mode with any sort of story you start experiencing. Uh, and yeah, we're just having a bit of a D&M about that. And someone in the year above us goes like, well, I use D&D as like my way to do that these days. And we're like, I've heard the name, but what is this? And yeah, he was just gonna like, he's like, all right, we're doing a session. Like, come around to my house next weekend. I'm showing you what this is. And yeah, just just started there, and he was 100% right. Like, it was just that thing I'd been missing for a while, that escapism, that kind of like raw storytelling, like getting lost in something. Uh, yeah, when like trying to move into doing acting, and I think a lot of, yeah, everything I write, I think writers have a very similar thing, or anyone whose job involves story structure, just the ability to just sit back and enjoy it. You're always going to appreciate really good stuff, but getting carried away by a story is just something you unfortunately kind of lose a lot of the time, just because you're constantly analyzing and stuff like that. So yeah, D&D was just a perfect way to get out of that, because it is that improv style, and there is like story beats we try to put into it, but it is like, as you say, it's collaborative, and you don't always know where it's going to go, and there's just four other people at the table with their own characters, their own brains, their own things, and just these really cool moments you couldn't have thought up on your own trying to write a script or write a backstory for your um character you have to play in a couple of weeks. Like, these things just come up naturally, and it's really just, yeah, just a return to that thing that I was missing out on, that used to get just from sitting back and watching TV or a movie and just being like, oh, this is so cool, I'm so swept up. Like, don't really get that anymore. But like with D&D, you don't always get it either in D&D. Let's not put the standards of it too high to yeah, to set people up for disappointment or something. It doesn't always happen. Definitely doesn't happen in every game, but when it happens, it's like an awesome feeling. So yeah, that's how
Absolutely.
it started. Just as a trying something new and a bit of a break from traditional storytelling, and also just a little bit of therapy that we all needed. Yeah.
That's it. It is therapy. I look forward to it every Wednesday. It's a nice way to reset for me. Um, it usually falls on a weekend or an afternoon off, so it's a nice way to kick back and just unwind and be in a different state, if that makes sense. When I'm
Yeah.
playing, it's like playing or running. I'm not caught up in the problems that the real world has to offer.
Mm.
It is a nice reprieve, I find, for a lot of people, and definitely true for myself. And yeah, I think it's offers a lot. And I found that's what drew me to it
Oh,
in the first place as well. So
yeah. And I was just going to say, it's one of the only ways, being mid-30s, to regularly see a group of friends outside of work.
yeah, exactly. I found
Yeah.
like as my social circle has increased tenfold since beginning about when did I started playing D&D about 8 years ago. Time's a funny thing, but started playing
Mm.
that. I was doing actually another podcast with a friend at the time, and I briefly heard about D&D. I was open-minded to it, but I had no idea whether I was going to love it, or not like it. I just went in there with an open mind, and yeah, went, and then just fell in love with it because you kind of create the story, and you create this uh, person that's just bigger than life, and
Yeah.
there's so much you can do in it. That's just yeah, it's just creativity that you don't get anywhere else. It's an outlet um, that I found has just been opened so many doors, so many pathways, and it's so welcoming a community as well.
Yeah.
That's what D&D is, and like TTRPGs, it should be a welcoming community. It wants new players to join, it wants old players to join, it wants everyone in between as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and that is like the community focused thing I've really seen. It hasn't just been like, this is our secret. Don't let the other like the gatekeeping. Well, look, there's always going to be gatekeepers in every community. Don't get me wrong, but there's a very low amount, at least what I've experienced in D&D. You have rules lawyers, or like back in my day, people, but none of them seem to be like, don't play this game. You're not allowed to.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
seemed to want everyone involved, unless you're like a murderer or going to like assault someone at the table or something like that. We probably don't want you involved. But yeah, that should go without saying, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's an automatic given, really.
Yeah.
I try
For
to
most
avoid those.
most communities, I think. Yeah.
They might take a little bit of a stern talking to, but
Yeah.
when we talk about murder hobos, we're talking about the characters, not the actual players here.
That's yeah, yeah, that is a joke based on a fantasy game. It's not something we think you should be doing.
So yeah, no, I find that's very much the case. It's the community that brings that wants people in. We're definitely not a cult. We're a cult. That's effectively what we are. But
No, it's so
we're a
not a
cult that
cult.
usually ends
Look
happily.
up.
I've stopped telling them all our secrets. But it is a cult that doesn't end up like Charles Manson or anything, Manson or anything like that. So,
Yeah, no Kool-Aid in this cult. Yeah.
but what would be your a tip you can give new players coming into it, and like how can they get involved and where can they start? How can
Oh.
we get into the cult?
Social media is a good place to start. Like, I started playing just by putting a. Oh no, sorry. I started playing in acting school, then that sort of fell away, and then I had like a good 3, 4 years not playing. And I just did a Facebook post being like, "Does anyone know any D&D groups who are looking for a player? I've really been missing it." And found out that way. So, friends, community. There are a lot of Discord servers. Sometimes just Googling it as well. There are professional GMs who sell their services. If you're lucky to be near one of these groups that invites people in, like we did it with Eden Brewery, just like pay a bit, turn up, and everyone's playing together. I work at Fortress Sydney at the moment, so they do on Sundays. It's called Dungeons and Flagons. It really can just start with Google, just like play D&D near me or something like that, and just see if it gives you any links. And then the other way is just reach out. Um, like if you have friends who play and you know they play, um, ask them how they got involved and if there's a way that you could be involved. And if you don't know if any of your friends are involved, just go on social media. Hey, any of my anyone on my friends list play D&D and can help me out? They'll jump in. Like if they do, they'll jump in.
I got to do the typical social media podcasting slash YouTube trick of plugging myself in here a little bit. Another
Oh yeah, of
opportunity
course.
for finding a place is through Dungeon Master It Yourself. We run events every second Thursday night out at Citizen Cambridge Lodge in Berrima. They've been fantastic. If you can't make it on a Thursday night, you should definitely go for dinner there and check that place out. But we run games every second night, every second week on a Thursday night, which is open and accessible for players of all levels of experience, to those who have played countless games and know every single rule there is to know, to those who have never ever picked up a set of dice before. It's accessible to everyone and in between those as well too. So um, it's and you can find us by looking at dungeonmasteryourself.com.au, and I've got links there where you can find out more about different places and different businesses that we work with as well. The Infernal Printer is another one we do, like Dice Towers, cheeky. I'm going to show you, which is really cool.
Oh no,
Um,
oh, I like.
and you can like slice out as well, so you can put your dice and your minis in there as well. So pretty cool stuff. They do like 3D printed dice towers, trays, all that kind of stuff. Um, DMIY10. That's a cheeky little code. So if you go to the Infernal Printer shop, put DMIY10 in, you get 10% off any of those. So I've done my little plug. Whether you go and do that or not, it's up to you. If you just want to listen to the podcast, that's also completely fine. So just make sure you subscribe so you can find us and follow us again. But yeah, if you're looking for places, Fortress Sydney, where you do your Sundays, and out at Berrima, it says in Cambridge Lodge every second Thursday. Um, Come check us out. Yeah, that's social media is a great little outlet to find groups. I was fortunate that at the time they were running at a local game store, so I was able to jump in there, and that's where it all began for me. And then Justin actually, Justin invited me to a campaign. I was like, yeah, sick, I'll join a campaign. Uh, don't really know what that is, but I'll join it. Um, and then just went from there, and then I bumped into my business partner Tom there. So that was a um very lucky find. But yeah, we'll have
It's
different stories in
interesting
it.
that you actually told it was a campaign and you joined, unlike the, "Hey, I'm just running a one shot." Um, and then you do the one shot, and it's like, and then it just turned into a campaign. 3 years later, you're like, "Wasn't this a one shot?"
That's how they trap you. That's how they get you in.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, if you're ever running a game and you need a player, please, I put my hand up. I volunteer as tribute if you'll ever have me, and like vice versa too. Like,
Oh,
always
yeah,
be
like,
welcome at any games.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I know we're talking a lot about DM stuff. I've been a lot more of a player these last few years. Like last 2 years, I think. Like, still doing my DMing here and there, but I kind of slipped out of the forever GM thing somehow. And even though I still consider myself a GM, kind of enjoying it, not gonna lie. Like, just started because definitely like with the show and stuff, um, with the show and like running multiple games myself, like there was really getting into GM burnout sort of territory. And yeah, so just relaxed a bit, and someone's like, "Oh, we've got a spot at our table if you just want to play." I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then someone else is like, "Same with us." And then yeah, I'll get back to full-time DMing one day. Ugh, I say, like, adult job now in hospitality hours and stuff. I have no idea when I'm going to be free. People are like, "When are you free next week?" And I'm like, "I'll find out next week, and I'll let you know if I can remember you've asked me any questions." Uh, but yeah, like I would get into it, but yeah, it really takes you back to like what you enjoy as of just playing, and that's like you're always like learning off the other GMs and seeing what works, uh, what would work for you, what you would do differently, um, and then just kind of getting lost in it as well. Just
Yeah,
being like, I don't have to be on 100% of the time. I don't have to be asking people's questions. I can sit there and just, you know, watch other people role play, let other people do stuff, and yeah.
I've been quite fortunate. So I play a private game on Wednesday, and then alternate Wednesdays I'll run a game. So I'm not forever GM, so I get to play and get to uh, GM as well. So I've got like a little bit of both elements there, which is really handy. Which frees up my Thursday to GM tables and stuff like that as well for DIY and just do my thing. So I've been pretty fortunate that way. The
Awesome.
group that I've had has been pretty lucky, but
Yeah, no,
uh,
that's it's fortunate when it happens because yeah, GM burnout's a thing. Like, and you got to find ways to get through it. So, like, if you have like a way to, like you said, if you're lucky enough to have like something you can play in and something you can GM, or just something else you can do just to take the heat off you, because it is supposed to be relaxing. It is supposed to be fun. And if you're spending all your time thinking and creating and trying to craft the back things that you don't actually have any downtime yourself, and you find yourself being more stressed about trying to provide a good time for your players, than you are turning up ready to have fun. That's when you have to say, maybe I'm burned out a little bit and I've got to dial it back just for a little bit and find a way to get back to the fun.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like prep work and like dot points and whatnot too. Like doing dot points rather than spending hours writing paragraphs upon paragraphs can really slow the effects of burnout down too. Because the more time you invest in prepping for the game can also equal um, burnout. Because if you're doing that on a frequent basis, you get to a point like, oh, I don't have time, or my players are doing this now, so like I'm getting a bit run down. It does happen, um, as you said, but yeah, dot points always helpful. So little things you can do to slow down that the process or to reboot. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
there are like little methods I've seen people do too, like rotating gems is a good one. You could some people even do that within like the same campaign. So you'll have another DM like run sessions of the same world, but
Yeah, rotating works great. Yeah. We do my home group does well fortnightly games, but like each fortnight is a different game. So we've got like Ibby who DMs one week, and then we've got Dave who DMs the next. And then the rest of us are like just players in it. So it's like they get to not be too swamped by things. And like we're all getting on in age now, careers, families. Well, they have families. Yeah. I'll see
that's
about
what.
that.
Yeah, my D&D players are never allowed to have families and move away from D&D. They're trapped now forever. They're not allowed. I don't permit
I'm glad they know their place. Yeah.
it. Assert a dominance about it.
Yeah, when you're at your home game and someone's like, "Oh, hey everyone, I'm having a child." And you're
No, you're not.
like,
I have this
"Don't
coat
you
hanger.
know?"
I'm kidding. It's terrible.
Yeah. But valid.
I think that's probably the biggest fear is like having a child and then going, okay, where's my time gone? I think I might just have the child there. Like, you just going to put up with the crying because I'm not missing this. They can be traumatized alongside of us. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if you're in a good relationship of communication and boundaries and everything like that, you can make that stuff work. Uh, Theoretically. I say that not theoretically. Like, one of my GMs has had his second child, and we play pretty constantly. It is just both times when they were newborn, we were just like, we're taking a step back for a little bit because that's like like that's a very hard time. And then that's when the rest of us were like, okay, someone else GM for a little bit, or let's do something else, just like a board game night or something like that on Tuesdays until like the schedule clears up, and then it clears back again. So I know I'm talking trash about kids, but it's like I play with multiple people who have kids and still somehow find a way to get D&D going. So
That's pretty incredible. It's
and
hats off to them.
and and other TTRPGs. I know like when I say D&D, I'm just like using it as like a catch-all, which I shouldn't. It's a specific brand. But like yeah, I know D&D is the one we go to, but like I'm gonna be honest, like I'm not sure if you have any kickbacks from big Dungeons and Dragons or anything. But I just have to say, really enjoying Pathfinder Second Edition at the moment.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, branching out into something different. Like, we just started that because we had just done like, it must have been like a 4-year campaign in D&D. At least 3, like going into 4. And as much as we love it, like a couple of us were talking like, we know, like, at least when it comes to exploration and combat and stuff like that, we kind of all know what we're going to do. other than like if there's a rule of cool situation. And we're just sort of like miss those early days of D&D of having to figure out what your character can do and not automatically knowing what a monster can do just based off the GM's description. So
Mm.
we tried moving into something else, and then we moved into Pathfinder 2e, which has a lot more rules. But that kind of, I guess we're a bit worried like having to learn a new system would take away from the fun we've developed. But after like a very small hill to get over with that, found it was like so fun to not know everything. Like
Yeah.
to come in, even though it is the same, medieval high fantasy heroes versus monsters, uh, select your race, select your class. Well, we can say it. It's first edition Pathfinder was D&D 3.5. Like that's not a secret. Um, and then, but yeah, second edition's gone somewhere else. But yeah, it is so good just to be back in. How does this work?
It's
This sort of monsters turn up. I have no idea what this is. How are these rules? Like, it's not action, bonus action, movement. It's you have 3 actions, and you need to figure out what to do with it. And yeah, the other worry we had was that it would get in the way of roleplay because it was too rules heavy. Not sure. Roleplay is its own thing. Like, and that's gone like between like other games like Call of Cthulhu as well, Kids on Bikes. What else have I played? Starfinder? I feel like there's a big one I'm missing. But it doesn't. Sorry, yeah, on a tangent at the moment, but like just talking like not
no,
just D
that's
and D,
fine.
but like yeah, like talking of like a time where it wasn't D&D burnout. It was just like the desire to try something new, but like there was a worry that too many rules would inhibit roleplay, and I just found it
It didn't.
interesting that it had absolutely no effect on our ability to have fun role playing. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, the rules are there for the things that need rules for exploration, combat. You're doing a persuasion, trying to get through a broken door. Can I cast this spell? Do you have it? Yeah, there's different ways to do all those things. But when it is just characters deciding what to do, building relationship dynamics, and going from there, like there's absolutely no difference.
That's actually something that we've been exploring too. Like we want to test out different game types, different like at the moment I'm running Alien RPG for a group, which has
I've heard that's
been
yeah.
it is the way they do their cinematic one shots as well, incredible. We've got amazing stress mechanics stuff. So we're having a lot of fun with that. And it's more I like the grittiness of it. I find D&D is very forgiving. Like there's a lot of chances to get back up off the ground and not die. But with Alien RPG, that the threat of the monsters in it are very, very, very real. And going up
Yeah.
against one of these things is not a situation you want to be in. So whereas like D&D sort of makes you feel like the hero, Alien makes you feel a little hopeless, but that's designed to be that way. But there are other things that we um, want to try, like Vaesen as well, which has like a Nordic horror theme to it, which is really cool. Love Call of Cthulhu. I've only played a couple of games of it though, but I have a lot of time for Call of Cthulhu.
That is
Yeah,
one where roleplay had to be a bit different, just because if you get to D&D and like building character dynamics and backstory and stuff like that, you do forget the core of it, which is your investigators. And if you don't spend most of your downtime actually trying to investigate what's happening, you're not going to finish the session on time. Like you still have moments to roleplay between each other, but it is like you you're detectives pretty much. Like you need to be constantly looking. Uh, so that's just the thing. I thought it's not no roleplay. It's just very different roleplay I found with Call of Cthulhu. Like if you're not invested in trying to figure out what's happening, if you're just like letting yourself get sidetracked and talk about whatever, you're gonna need to finish it next week. That's all.
yeah. Exactly. Alien's similar to a degree as well. It's based on how much you want to explore, like where you want to go with it. They break it, even like using cinematics as an example of it. They break their cinematic one shots down into what's called events. And acts. So you got Act One, Act Two, and Act Three, and then they have optional and mandatory events within those acts. They can pick and choose where it feels appropriate to throw those things in. Um, and you can base how long the session goes for, how many sessions it's going to be by how much they want to explore versus how much of those optional events you want to throw at them as well. So if they gloss over certain parts, you can add things in different parts. It's quite clever how they do that. Whereas this is not trying to put down D&D. I love D&D, don't get me wrong, but D&D is set up very linear in how the adventures are run. Um,
Hmm.
uh, this is where you go. This is what happens there. This is where it could go. That's what happens there. Whereas Alien breaks it down into three acts with the events. So it feels like you don't have to be in a certain point, following a
Oh,
certain line, if that makes sense. Like you can throw in, take out. How
that's.
it's written is easier, I guess.
I've really got to try it. I know what you're saying. Like, I was just thinking, it's like, how do you do the exploration in this bit? I'm just like, as a player, like as someone who loves the Alien concept, not all the movies. I'm not going to shit on particular ones, but let you know, we can get on there. But the concept of the xenomorph and all that, I'm not sure I would explore.
I find like I've been running a campaign.
Yeah,
It's all homebrew,
yeah.
and
I'm like,
I'm
I'm in a
actually pretty
closet.
impressed with how Alien does it. It is quite
Okay.
different, but
I guess it has to force you into it. There's like a situation where it's like you're losing air pressure or something, so you're gonna suffocate or the ship's gonna blow up if you don't try to fix it. But the aliens out there, they're like those sorts of things. Otherwise, they're like, there's an alien out there, but everything else was fine. And you're just like, I'm locking myself in this pantry and I'm not moving.
that's completely fine. That is, if they want to do that, they're more than welcome to. But how I found it's worked is the pacing of it is quite good. The campaign works a little bit differently to how cinematics are. The cinematics are designed to make the story progress through it, regardless of how it's interacted with. So the story is almost different each and every time it's run, but there is certain similarities, and you always going to end up in that climactic last battle um, with the titular monster. With campaign, it's more pace, and I find that they're focusing on different things. They have usually working for a company. They could be freelance, or they're working for a extremist group, which is known as the Union of Progressive People, or UPP. Um, but at the moment, they're on this massive space station. They've all got their jobs and their roles within that. But it's got a lot of Alien Isolation vibes. I don't know if you ever played that game, but the
Mm.
station, there's an outbreak on the station. And I'm pacing through that, so they're not going to end up just blitzing through it or just dying immediately. I wanted them to actually build the tension before unleashing the monster on them.
Yeah,
Um, and there's all sorts of different things you can do with it. I'm also playing around with the Yuja or Predator, um, as you will. So
uh,
that should be pretty interesting. But they do actually explore, and unlike D&D 2, where there's like this unwritten rule, don't split the party.
yeah.
You probably heard of that one, but aliens like
Never heard of it.
encourage them,
Yeah,
encourage splitting the party. And my players like they're very good at not messing either, so they've most of them seen the movie, they understand what it's about.
yeah.
Um, but they don't meta. They just try and play based on what their character's knowledge is, and they do a pretty damn good job of it too. So I think that's there,
So
but it's important that the meta stuff is on top of, because it can be tricky if you're going like, oh, I know what the alien is, I'm not going to go there, or I'm not going to do this.
yeah, that would be where me like staying locked in the closet would probably be meta in that regard. Like, uh, like a little bit of meta is fine, long as it's controlled. There are times where like meta is my character. I don't think my character would do this, but I know they have to for the story to go forward. Like, that sort of like meta for a little bit, or like dipping into the rules a bit in a way that like helps the party but doesn't distract. Like meta isn't game breaking on its own, but there are types of metagaming that definitely just ruin it.
Mm.
And yeah, that's what you're saying. Like, yeah, you are trying to get to the end of the story, not just like make sure your character survives, so to speak. Like, if it were in D&D, for example, and like the crux of it was your character has to live as long as possible, they're not going on adventures.
No.
They're not going out to fight dragons and stuff like that. What do you like?
It's kind of cool because there is another way that it sort of encourages it. They've got what's called personal agendas, and that's I reflect that in the campaign because it is a dynamic thing that their agenda changes over a course of time based on their actions and what they've done. And we have a debrief at the end of the session. We privately talk to each player about what they feel their agenda is at that stage, and then I reward them if they follow that with what's called a story point. So that allows an automatic success um, on a roll, and you can only have like one of those at a time, and they have to be. So it does encourage them to pursue what their personal agenda is, um, which is really cool. So I find too that with their backstories and with their roles in the game, they're pretty good with um, pursuing that,
Hmm.
and just push
Let's
them
give
to that
players
what
some
they're
credit.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, most players
Uh,
are great. We love
oh, they
them.
are absolutely. Even the ones that do meta from time to time. We're all slightly guilty at some time. I know I've done
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
um, we're all guilty, and like that's the thing too. There's an element of it that comes with confidence too. I think as you progress in confidence, you're less likely to meta and be more likely to make decisions that you feel your character might do.
Yeah.
That happens over time, so it's not something you have to worry too much, especially if you're starting out. You're like falling into that trap. We all do it, even the experienced
Yeah.
ones. Um, I think that's looking pretty good for time, actually.
Yeah.
So um, that's huge. Thanks for jumping on and
Nice.
everything. That's been an absolute amazing.
Yeah, no,
Um,
happy to do it again sometime if you let me. That was fun. Just off the top of the head, rambling about gaming. I like it.
I'll definitely have you back. It's good. Like I actually really enjoy the conversations and stuff like that. So it's something that's I get a lot out of. I
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed it enough that you want to come back. So we're happy to
Yeah.
have you back.
I mean, if I ever have time off, again, we'll see. But yeah, no, that's it. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's an unfortunate trauma dump in the middle of a thing, isn't it? Yeah, no, love to be back.
That's the other thing too.
uh,
Like if you ever want to, you get that random day off or something like that, and you want to jump in on a game, or um, you have a space in one of your games available. Um,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've got an idea for a one shot coming up soon. So if it actually turns into anything, I'll let you know. You know what I'm talking about. Like you get a thing, you're like, ooh,
yeah.
and you just start building it. You're like, this is gonna be so cool, and then it's just like 6 months later, you're like, Oh yeah. What was that thing I planned?
No, 100%. I'll if that ever eventuates, my hands up. The other
Yeah.
thing too is like if you ever happen to be free for one of the DIY sessions, more than happy for you to jump in, either as a player or as a DM, whichever you feel like you would like to do. But having you there as a guest would be incredible at any point.
No
So,
way. I'd be happy to be down there if I can afford the fuel to get down.
mate, I would help you cover it. It'd be just a it'd just be have it. It'd be an honor
Make
to
that
have
on
you
my
there.
own at the moment. Yeah.
So I completely get it.
Yeah.
I spent $50 just putting fuel in like quarter of a tank.
Hmm.
But just a quarter. No, not even any more than that. It was just $50. I was like, oh, that's kind of sad now.
Uh,
Thank
I'm
you.
getting at that age. It's like I remember when it was this much.
I used to complain when it was $1.50.
Yeah,
How I
like
miss a dollar
$20,
fifty. Oh,
like $25 for like half a tank or something, and you're just like cruising, and you're like, oh, that's pretty steep. Just
I
like,
miss those days. I never knew how well I had it.
damn. And to listeners, this is why you turn into D&D podcasts to listen to two middle-aged white guys talk about the price of fuel.
Exactly. We're
Oh,
joining you in this sort of mutual hatred for the fuel prices right now.
is that a that's going to be a one shot. Open the Strait of Horrors. Horror. There we go.
Well, thank you again, Kendall. This has been an incredible experience being able to just talk to you and get a bit of insight into your world as well and your perspectives too.
No
Um,
worries.
it's
It's been
been
lovely to
great.
be here.